Internets, welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Finally, sitting down with a long time affiliate, long time sneaker fiend, long time creative, long time entrepreneur, artist. Greens, he smoked it. Clothes, he wore it. Harlem zone, NYC zone, the
That's
Smoker Club zone.
It's a fact.
Lyricist, you know. So many things. The one and only Smoke DZA.
That's me.
Yo, you know what's crazy? And we were saying this outside. I was like, damn, you know, and rest in peace to our brother Combat Jack. But I said, damn, you know, it's funny how all these years that I've been doing on my own and I haven't sat down with you.
It's crazy because we sat down at least, God knows how many times over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I never sat with you.
Yeah, personally.
Yeah.
So first of all, congratulations on the new album that's out.
Thank you.
Homegrown.
Thank you.
You know, obviously we know what that means, but for people watching who may not know, what does homegrown mean to you?
It's crazy because I've been asking people this question so much from doing my my series, Homegrown, shameless plug. But homegrown to me is organic. It's grass-rooted. It's Homegrown, the album for me is a healthy way for listeners to digest my music.
You know, it's crazy though, and actually I think I'm going to start the show with this because just to, you know, somebody like Smoke DZA, and it's funny I'm speaking about you like you're not here. You know, it's been around for a long time, and you know. It's sometimes this game, and when I say game, is it could be hip hop, could be streetwear, could be, you know, sometimes it has its days where you feel like maybe, and not saying you're thinking like this, but like maybe you feel like you're not getting the recognition that you feel.
No,
you should.
I'll be feeling that way.
Because you are nasty, you are a lyricist, you know, and then I see a tweet the other day that really put things into perspective for me about Smoke DZA, like kind of like, and it's from that boy Slater, and a younger artist to recognize and say this, and this is something that we don't do enough, is to give people their flowers. I feel like sometimes we want to wait until they pass away and then go find a photo. You know, it's a little blurry, but me and DZA, we're cool. You know, rest in peace. You know what I mean? Like people, this is the world we live in. When we should be giving people their flowers way beforehand. And Slater wrote, and I quote, he wrote, DZA really founded the Smokers Club, put out 20 plus projects, got joints with Kendrick, Nip, Mac, Wiz, Rocky, Joey, and Pete Rock. He a whole living legend. and that shit grew legs, that tweet. And even though it's just a tweet, it's reality. First off, how does that feel for a younger artist to give you your flowers, but more importantly, did it put anything into perspective? Because as you're moving and grooving, sometimes people don't think of shit like that. You know, like for you to like say, damn, I did do that. And there's nothing wrong with enough self-love because for real though, sometimes people think that like we have all the confidence. I'm sure there was some days where you're like, man, I love this shit, but sometimes like, you know, you obviously morphed into multiple things from hip hop. But, you know, I'll let you tell it. But what's your thoughts on something like that?
First off, shout out to Slater. It was funny because this shit went viral. I was just laughing like, well, I guess people finally got it. But for me, I mean, you know, I never was oblivious to it. Like, I can't say I'm just playing the game and looking at the scoreboard every minute.
True.
Right. But I know what I'm doing. I look at my stats quite often. And you know, a lot of this shit feel like yesterday. Cause a lot of these people that's friends of mine's that's here and no longer here is immortalized. Right? So for me being really in it, sometimes I gotta look back like, you know, when I'm saying a casual story about Nip, and they like, Nip, I'm a Nipsey Hussle. You know, so it's like, it's kind of crazy because, you know, that was my man. So
rest in peace to the late great Nipsey Hussle. But,
for sure.
But how did you even meet Nip?
I met Nip in like 2004 in LA. Maybe it was a little after 04. But Johnny Shipes.
Shouts to Johnny Shipes.
Johnny Shipes actually, Shipes is a gold miner. That's what I call him, because he knows how to find gold in artists. And the same way he found me, he found Nip, he found Crit, he found Joey Badass, you know, he found Mick Jenkins. So you know, it's a lot of artists that he's planted that bloomed way further than the eyes could see. So Nip was one of those guys. I remember going out to LA with Shipes to meet Big U and meet Nip and Steve Lobel.
Yep, shouts to Lobel. We work.
Yeah, that's my guy. I feel like Felly Fell
was
the one that
put that first plate, right? Yeah,
he was the one that put Johnny on the Nipsey.
Yeah.
I was in the room when that happened, cause we was working on Sean Kingston at the time, and Felly was breaking a lot of Sean records. And he was, you know, Johnny was he's always looking for the homegrown artists. He's always looking for the hometown heroes, or the ones that he feel is the diamond in the rough in a particular city. And he'll fly to that city to go meet that artist to see how they living. That's just how he does. So I went with him and we met with Nip, and Nip was special from the first time we met him. Like, we already knew what that was going to be. And Nip already knew what he was going to be before he even became what he was. He would speak about this shit 10, 15 years ago about what's happening right now. So I'm not nowhere the least surprised that you could speak of Tupac and speak of Nipsey in the same breath. You know what I mean? Like, so shit like that.
You know, when you think about doing a track with Nip, and especially for New York dudes, like, and not saying you in particular, but you know how sometimes like some dudes ain't that vocal of like wanting to do it, or he ain't say nothing. And then sometimes things don't get done because of assumptions. Because, you know, the most famous thing in hip hop is like, let's work, let's do something. What's the line I'm looking for? Like, let's get in the studio. And a lot of that sometimes shit is
a lot of that should be just rapper shit.
Yeah,
rapper
just like all is
we
good,
gonna get
peace
one
out.
in?
Yeah. And it never happens. How did that happen for you to do something with him? Like he was eager to do that, or that was something that you brought up? Or?
We came up together, so it was like we ain't really have much outside of what we had. You know, like we had it was the mixtape era. So you know what I mean? It was really based on what mixtapes you was on. And like I said, like we both came up on some grassrooted shit from the beginning. So us doing records like Black Superman and Kilo on My Neck and Remember Those Days, and you know, all the records that we got was all organic shit. And a lot of shit, I'm gonna come clean, Nip had hundreds of records in the early, and he would have some records where he'll do a verse and do a hook and it'd just be dormant, and he'll be like, yeah, you can take that, that's you. So it was a lot of that. Like what's the name of that shit that 1500 or Nothing did? Just Another Day.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite records, and he never finished it. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, what you doing with that? He like, cuz, that's you. Take that. So that was what it was, you know what I mean?
1500 or Nothing, man.
Yeah,
First of all, I
amazing.
got turned on to them by Just Blaze. And because Just Blaze used them a couple of times.
Just is my guy. Shout out to Just.
You know, talented.
Yeah,
1500 or Nothing. Super talented.
I love their production.
You know, so damn, man, you know, think about how crazy. Yeah, only thing I hate about life sometimes is when we talk about certain artists and you realize so many are gone. I forgot who I was talking with one time, and we started mentioning people, and every one of them was gone.
It's crazy.
You know, what would you say is the similarities when we move over to like Mac Miller? Like, what was the first time you met him? What was his approach, or that camaraderie that you had to really, you know?
See, now, I met Mac a little later. I met Mac in the early stages of the internet era for all of us. Before they kind of boxed us up and said, this is weed rap or whatever they was trying to, you know, say. Which I don't take offensive now. Before, you know, it took me a little while to warm up to that tag because I always knew I had more than just that. But with Mac, Mac was a fan. And I was a fan of his as well.
Sure.
And I got a text from Arthur Pitt. Shout out to Arthur Pitt. And he was like, yo, bro, we bringing Mac to New York, and he wanna lock in with you. He wanna do some shit, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And immediately, my first 5 minutes talking to Mac, he was like, yeah, man, I love Harlem, man. My favorite rapper is Big L. And I just smiled ear to ear because I'm just like, what you know about Big L? And that's how we clicked. And then, even when he became the Mac Miller, right? He was still reaching out, and he was still, when he got into the production phase, he was sending me beats. If I was in LA and he was around, I was at the crib. We was cutting records. He had a rap camp, so to speak, at his crib where all the rappers would be there. I feel like one of the last times I was with him, it was me, him, Absol, Dash, Yams. It was a bunch of us, you know what I mean? And Chuck English. It was actually, I was doing Rock the Bells. I feel like it was either Easter or Thanksgiving. It was one of those holidays where, I was away from the family, and Mac was like, yo, come to the crib. And I had people with me. He was like, nah, bring them. I think we ended up sleeping over there. We ate, we recorded. You know what I mean? Like, so he made me feel at
Pancakes
home, away from home.
in the morning.
And we both are not from LA, but just the fact that he had the crib out there, and his doors was always open.
That says a lot. Rest in peace to
Yeah,
I say
rest in love to my brother.
To Mac Miller. I mean, there's so many ways to go, but let's go back a little, because we never sat down, me and you. Smoke DZA. How did that even? Obviously, Smoke got something to do with it, but how did you even come up with that? And have you spoke? What were the other names that you had before then that you were gonna go with?
I never had no other name other than Smoke. Funny shit, Smoke. The name Smoke didn't come from weed.
Okay.
Initially.
See, right away I'm thinking that, but go ahead.
You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because a lot of people that know me when I was younger will tell this story way better than me. But I got into that whole culture from the movie Friday, and I loved the character Smokey that Chris Tucker played. Mm-hmm. And at first, my name was Smoke Dog. Right? From Smoke Dog, baby. Yeah. Remember that shit? So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm Smoke Dog. I'm Smokey, whatever. And around the era when Snoop came out with the whole for shizzle my nizzle slang, the dog turned into DZA. And the spelling of it came from my admiration for Wu-Tang.
Okay,
and I felt
RZA.
Right. And it'd just be an easy way for them to get my name and say it the right way, because I felt like DIZZA looked like pizza. It just didn't look right. Just wasn't like, the spelling just wasn't right. I felt like it was more hip hop naming it, or at least going with the whole abbreviation how DZA and the RZA got. Being that I'm not from Staten Island, I know they would equate me with hip hop.
Sure.
From that name. So once I started smoking weed, like later on in my teenage years, that's when it came a little more synonymous for Smoke DZA to be attached with weed. So
did you like the way it sounded?
Nah, I mean, I always got teased.
Because I'll be honest with you, I think there's certain things that fit. I think it personally fits, meaning the way it flows, but then again, it's almost like asking somebody who is in radio, do you like your voice? How many times, if you actually,
I hated my voice too.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, people don't realize other people all around the world find this as something that they admire.
Some people say I have the greatest rap voice ever, and it's hilarious to me.
But why do you hate it?
Well, I used to hate it.
Okay, why did you? Yeah,
because it was high pitch.
Okay,
it was like like Superfly, like, and I ain't really. It was only high pitch because I was so excited, and that'll even be like when I was performing 10 years ago. If you see my performances 10 years ago in my movement where I was pretty awkward and screaming, and then you see my performances now where I'm tuned and well-oiled and it sounds like the record when I'm performing, I studied breath control and I learned how to elevate my voice and not tire myself out. Because when you screaming, you winded. You can't even get through the record. The people is not even enjoying the record as much as you giving all that energy and you screaming and you yelling and it's not connecting. And I used to have a problem with that. I feel like I got better from being around people that was better than me performing. Like Crit, like Currency, like Method Man, like Wiz. Like these is the people that I started touring with at the beginning of my touring career. So I had the blueprint to learn from greats. I was the wackest one when it comes to performing in my eyes.
But studied under the.
I studied.
Sean Price used to say study under the understudy. I forgot how he used to say that shit. First of all, internet. Shout out to Sabino and the Panini shop. We're up in the headquarters right now, and we're in Brooklyn. And the reason why you could tell that for is if you heard that horn, motherfuckers in Brooklyn keep their hand on that horn all day long. The light probably just turned green, to be honest. But you know, I like that you say that. You know, and I actually, even to take it a step further. You know, an artist, especially a hip hop artist, all these years, how has the studio life been for you? All the different hours. Like, there's some people I've sat down with a lot of people. Sometimes there's actually artists that'll do like regular day job studios, and then there's people that'll lock in all fucking night. You know, it's a crazy hours. If you're a family guy, you know, you come home 5, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, you're in the studio.
I've been in the doghouse for 2 years, so yeah. I'm my shit is in the shitter.
But what I'm saying is how you know, hip hop, sometimes it bothers me at how people try to portray certain things, like meaning like they're so critical, but in other genres it's not like that. You know, it's like I always make this joke, like Barry Manilow, like this dude's like 80 something, he's still touring. People going to his concert, they're not like, yo, this dude's not relevant anymore. They're not talking about what he has done or you know. I feel like they want to take you. Longevity is very rare in this game. So when you see it, you love it. You need to look at Raekwon and Ghostface 20 years on Purple Tape, or 25 years?
20, yeah,
I think
like
it was
that.
20 recently. But even like Smith and Wesson 25, you know, Duck Down, you know, you think about, man, Ice Cube, and you think about Snoop and all, like longevity is supposed to. If you look at Jay-Z, 50-year-old rapper. I mean, can we see him with a gray fro rapping? But what's the problem if it is? So I don't know if you feel this way, but meaning like, I feel like in hip hop, it's like people are so opinionated, and these artists, meaning yourself, put in so much work. You know, I don't know. It's not really a question. It's just,
I mean, us as artists, some of us put expiration dates on ourselves, right? So they say it's a young man's game. I would say rap and basketball is parallel to each other because basketball players retire around the same time rappers retire.
And basketball players,
but does that mean that they really stop playing basketball? They just stop playing basketball under the lights. They still doing different things to stay in shape. Sure. Some of them do. Most of them do, because that's just the love that they have for the sport, right?
Some of them coach.
Right. So with rap, I feel like, you know, at some point you want to stop rapping full time, like rapping because you have to rap, or because you feel like you have an obligation to your fans to live something out, or not even live something out, to finish the job, so to speak. Like, that's how I feel right now. Like, I'm finishing the job. I'm not saying I don't want to rap anymore, because obviously I love this shit. I'm going to rap whether I'm selling this shit or whether I'm just rapping in my own comfort. But at the end of the day, it's other things that I want to do. And I have other short-term goals that I want to tackle.
And you have been doing, I think, and that's one thing too that I love to see, not only from you just in hip-hop, is entrepreneurship. And I always tell people, I make this comment, like, when you keep the water running, like the hip-hop is what has kept the water running, but look at the Smokers Club and look at these other projects you're working on and all this. And that all comes from the realm of what you created. And it should be that way. It shouldn't be only music, right? You shouldn't only be living off of streaming and touring, right? It should be living off of, like, you know, the entrepreneurship, the build, maybe the property you bought, or maybe, like, that's the thing I love. Like, fly shit is not only how we look, right? How we're doing. You know, when we talk about these different artists in hip hop and being a young man game, how many years is it for you? Is it 15, 20?
Yeah, you know, I'm 36. I hate saying how long I've been in this because it make me look like I'm older than what I am. So I'm 36. I've been doing this at a professional level for the last 15 years. I've been rapping since I was 16, but, you know.
DZA at 16, who was his inspirations?
The same inspirations right now. The Locks.
Big L?
Big L. Dipset, Biggie, Jay-Z.
Never.
And I become friends with a lot of the guys on that list.
Sure. Which is crazy.
Which is crazy for the 16-year-old Smoke DZA to be looking up like, wow, like I could really call Cam. I could really call Jim. I could really call the Locks. I could really get them to show up.
Well,
They'll call me for shit.
Cam is talking some stupid shit on this Homegrown, right?
He's going crazy.
Okay.
Jim is going crazy.
He's crazy. But that the way Cam was changing his cadence, I mean, this Homegrown is something special. I mean, we'll get to that soon, but let's run down the features real quick, just alone. Wiz is on it. First of all, that song is like a happy go feel.
That's our ode to the blog era.
Yep. To me, that's a happy. I love happy hip hop sometimes, where it's like kind of like you don't have to be.
It's not corny,
yeah,
but it feels good.
Yeah, and I like that.
Good hip hop.
Yeah. Some shit I need where it's like it get you so riled up. You may want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And then there's some shit that makes you feel good. But let's go over the features here. We got Wiz, Cam, Jim Jones, Slater,
Currency.
Currency.
Big Crit.
Is Will Kellen there? Or no? Oh, Abby.
This one. She's not
in that one. I feel like there was a song with her. Didn't you do a song?
I did. That's for her record. That's for her record.
Okay, I switched that up. Who else?
Nemlo, Burner, Dom Kennedy, J305, Tish Hyman.
I mean, listen, we'll get to Homegrown soon. We'll get to Homegrown soon. You know, for Smoke DZA fans and people really just learning about you, because there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you grew up in Harlem, and mom and pops, you grew up. Now, what do moms do?
My mom was a home attendant.
Okay, and pops?
And my dad was a security guard.
Okay. How was that growing up? Like, meaning like, because I want to start with even just like growing up and you know, even being Harlem, like you got to get right. You know, Harlem got to get fresh. And, you know, we're both in that sneaker fiend world. So we understand what it is to, one, try to get a pair of kicks. Two, then when you get older and rock pair of kicks. I mean, it happens all the time. People wind up going crazy because they couldn't go crazy when they were younger. But not only sneakers, like how was it growing up, mom and pops, and like the young Smoke DZA life? Well, not even Smoke DZA, but meaning, you know?
I mean, I had structure. I went to private school.
How was that?
It was good. My parents they're islanders, so they're from Guyana.
Okay,
so,
nice.
You know, it was a lot of the West Indian culture instilled in me.
What about music in the house?
Music, my pops would play everything. Wow. I feel like my beat selection is because of my pops, because he would play shit like Otis Redding and fucking Sparrow, and then he'll end up playing Al Green and, you know, fucking Marvin Gaye. Like, he just always had these soul samples and different shit that he would mix in, playing calypso. Like, and I hated it growing up, because he would always play music. He could only play music on the weekends because those are the only times where he was home to play music.
Sure.
He had a big setup. Like, you know, he would DJ in the house just for me, my mother, and my sister. But
it was a club,
right? But at the same time, you know, it was going over my Saturday morning wrestling, so I didn't really care. I didn't really care to listen to what he was trying to do, because I'm trying to watch wrestling. But in hindsight, subliminally, it influenced my palette of music. So some certain beats that I hear, I think of him. You know, like even beats on the album, like 143. That is some shit that my pops would have played.
Who is Static got a couple of joints on here?
Static got 2 joints on there.
Who else produced?
183rd.
Okay.
Who else? Sap. Chasing Cash.
Shouts to Chasing Cash. Yo, the beat selection sounds beautiful.
Yeah, you know, I always feel like I like to think that I pick great beats. I feel like that's a strength.
I mean, the Pete Rock joint, the Pete Rock album.
That's the All-Star game.
No, but
you know what I mean? That's like
even my man Isaiah was saying, like, yo, the beats on there.
It was good beats. It was good beats and great raps.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I feel like Pete could give anybody a good beat because he's Pete Rock. But what are you going to do on the beats is what's next. I feel like Don't Smoke Rock is special because I matched up my beats, my raps to his beats.
I don't want to lose where we were with Pops, but how does that even happen? Where Smoke DZA comes together with the legendary producer Pete Rock, like, and so real. And I speak to Pete Rock. Pete Rock is a sneaker fiend, a comic fiend, ill producer, a foodie. Like, yo, Pete Rock is an old school movie guy, like, but just a great individual. But how does that come about? You know, because some of this shit is not like always planned. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's the most homegrown, not even
Pun
a top.
intended.
Pun intended, but no pun intended. It's the most homegrown story how I met Pete. I met Pete through Shipes. Shipes always had, like I said, he's a gold miner, and he's also one of those lucky fools. So he'll, at the beginning of his career, when he had no track record in managing people, he was managing these big acts. And Pete Rock was one of the acts that he got to manage for a brief time early. And I was young enough to not be able to go into the club. And Pete let me carry his crates to get in the club. And he gave me some bread at the end of the night.
Classic days.
Right. So those was the days. That's how long I knew him. Now, fast forward, I never told Pete I rapped. I never forced my rap career on Pete. I was rapping at that time. I was rapping after that. I would always see him around. It was just like, you know, this Pete. We just smoke weed, talk shit. Never knew I rapped. I think he heard a record on Shade 45 that they played, Dear Summer. It was a freestyle I did over a Flying Lotus beat. Shout out to Flylo. And he hit me like, nigga, you're fucking Smoke DZA? Like, you never told me you rap, boy. Like, yo, I want to hop on that joint. And then an opportunity came where Flex was doing a mixtape, the Tunnel shit.
Shouts to Flex.
And Flex, luck of the draw, gave me a Pete Rock beat. And I was like, oh yeah, Pete's my man. And Pete found out that it was me, and we worked on that record. And then after that record, he kept saying, yo, we got to do a whole tape. We got to do a whole tape.
And that's rare too for Pete Rock too, right? You know what I mean? Think about it, you know,
It is. It took a little while for us to get to the tape. But when he called me like, all right, yo, I'm ready. He was dead ass ready. And we was in the studio every day.
I mean, listen, the journey is young, but you know, I tell people this all the time. They don't realize when you're living your own life of like how much shit you've done, you know? Like even you, I look at it like you grew up a wrestling fan, right? You met wrestlers. Even me, I grew up a mob movie fan. I grew up a hip hop fan. I grew up a streetwear fan. And I'm literally like great phone calls away from anybody. And I don't take that for granted. I'm like, yo, you know, that shit feels like sometimes shit. You know, I grew up watching The Sopranos. I was at this dude Paulie Walnut's house. You know what I mean?
I heard.
Like it's like I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? This is what it is. It's like I'm ready to go. But you know, when you think of Pete Rock and Smoke DZA, that project, Internets, if you've never seen that project before, seen it, listen to it, watch it. Okay, it's official. The beat selection is crazy. You do a little road trip with that. Put that on 6 hours, you won't even realize it was going. You know, I want to step away from the music shit for a second, since I forget how much, which is crazy, of a wrestling fan you are. Who's the greatest wrestler of all time?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay, why?
Because he made wrestling the same way Michael Jordan made basketball, the same way Wayne Gretzky made hockey popular, the same way, Emmett, I can't even say that, Bo Jackson in the 80s.
You know, you think about it, ripping the shirt off, Hulkamania, Hulkster,
Vitamins,
the smack talk, the leg drop, the bandana,
the hulking up,
the you know, it's funny because I was a tremendous wrestling fan when I was younger. Andre the Giant, Nikolai Volkov, Brutus the Beefcake, Barber Jake the Snake. I used to have all the ring and the rubber figures. I found them actually.
I still got like 300 of those.
Yeah, I got paint on all of them. Like if you hit them together too much, you know, classic. But
that's the era, bro.
the crazy
That's
thing is
crazy.
those shits was so pause, but those shits was so hard. Like if you
You
threw
couldn't
them
play.
at somebody,
You couldn't play.
you
with
could
them.
hurt
Those
somebody.
Are weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are weapons.
Those are brass knuckles.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Hulk Hogan, man. You know, you ever get a chance to meet him?
A few times.
Really?
A few times. It's cool as a motherfucker.
You know, that's I forget. Even you and Wale have been at a lot of WrestleMania.
Shout out to Wale. Wale took me to my first WrestleMania where I sat ringside.
Yeah, ringside. I seen that. I seen that on IG.
So
how does that happen? He's just got connections with the. He's friends with
world renowned Wale.
But he's friends with all these. What's this guy's name? I don't know the newer wrestlers.
Kofi Kingston, Big E. That's Big E is the homie too.
Yeah.
He actually tweeted the album. Shout out to Big E.
Yep.
But Wale, funny shit. Me and Wale got cool from arguing off wrestling, right? About who did it first in rap. That was our petty argument. And Peter Rosenberg was the one that put us together in group text. Funny rap story, right? So from then we start to see how much alike we are. And you know, we built the bond, and he was like, "Yo, next year at WrestleMania, we gonna be sitting front row, Slim. Trust me, you just come, mama. I got it." And I was just like, "All right, whatever." And time came, and he texted me the ticket, like, "Look."
See, that's well, man.
And I've been front row ever since because I nurtured my relationship with WWE from Wale. Wale was the one that actually introduced me to Neil. Shout out to Neil Lowy, the head of talent for WWE. But they always take care of me first class anytime I'm there.
And I'm glad they get it too, because sometimes people don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but when we think about even your music, you think about how it has grown over the years and the style of it. We're talking about life, wrestling, like shit you love. Like if you think about it, you're literally just telling people
my life,
your life, right? You know, I say this to a lot of people, but you've been around for a minute in the game, and I say this only because sometimes people feel the same. You ever feel like it was moments where you just like wanted to give up this shit,
bro? And
do you remember like people either?
I remember the conversations I had and who I had them with, and a lot of people that might have motivated me that didn't know that they was motivating me at a time where the business had me in the ringer. Because, you know, I never get tired of rapping. And I never get tired of putting the music out. But what I do get tired of is the business. I don't like the business aspect of rap. I feel like it could be strenuous at times. It could be unfair at times. And it was a learning curve. It was a lot of learning that I had to endure to actually be able to cope with it. But in those times, it had me ready to quit. Not to say that I was actually going to quit.
But you were frustrated.
But I was frustrated enough to say, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? And the hatred of the business at times will take away the fun of the art. You know, it makes it feel like work.
That may need to be on a t-shirt the way you said it. That was like a quote. You know, the industry sometimes, you know, I forgot who said this, said I love music, I hate the music industry. But I do think, and you know, that we are heading to a more freer place for artists. You know, sometimes I mean, Kanye is a weird motherfucker, but some of the shit he's saying. No, I say weird, and I don't mean that versus what he's going through, because everyone has problems, and I'm not knocking any of that. He's making a lot of sense. I feel where he's saying all this shit could send artists to a better world. Like, why are we? Not we. Let me say, why are people taking advances? Like why is it not like a regular loan? Right. Why? Like, think about it. The system is designed for the music industry to gain, and for you to owe, or for you to be owned. You know, I think it's become so more independent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could do things you like more now, and people flock to it, and you could tweet out things and people can support things, and you don't need to rely on things like that anymore. And I don't, and I guess you expressed with Kanye, but I feel like where he's going with it, he's making a lot of sense. It's just that because of everything going on with the Trump and slavery as a choice, people aren't listening to him. But I do believe that the industry can get to a better place for the artist.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a DIY approach.
Yep.
More of a do-it-yourself type thing, so anybody could do it.
Yep.
Everybody's at your fingertips at this point. You can reach out to whoever. I think what he's talking about has been our narrative for some time. When I say our, I'm talking about guys like me, guys like Dom Kennedy, that was actually pushing the whole independent factor of actually owning your shit and being able to dictate your own dates and shit like that. But he's a way bigger artist, so obviously, a lot of other people will listen. He's made a lot of money for a lot of people. Yeah. So his voice is big enough to be the change.
The funny shit is he's like, I'm giving back all these good the good music artists there, like even doing that.
That's admirable. I mean, that's admirable because he doesn't have to do that. You know what I mean? But if you want to change, you got to be the change that you want to see.
Sure. I mean, he's definitely a game changer as far as now. Where did you even meet Kanye?
I met Kanye in Calabasas at he actually executive produced this movie that I was a part of.
Oh, that Dame did too? What was it called?
Honor Up.
Okay. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah. Shouts to Dame. We'll get to Dame soon. Yo, you know what I want to tell you? Explain to me, a Brooklyn cat. What the fuck is Calabasas? I know it's California, but what is it?
It's a rich part of Los Angeles.
Who like
similar to
what do people do who are there? Doctors, lawyers,
ball players, television, I guess actors. I mean, it's like a Beverly Hills or like
got no chopped cheese in Calabasas.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's probably Erewhon.
Yeah.
Erewhon over there. Shout out to Erewhon. Yeah, with an air fry, you stupid.
But all right. Let's you know what? Let's take a quick break. We're sitting here with the one and only Smoke DZA, Harlem's own. Homegrown is out now. Go stream it. Go buy it. Any vinyl?
Yeah, I got vinyl. I got vinyl for everything right now. Go on my Instagram. Check the link in my bio. I hate to sound like that because it's like check the link in my bio, but I can't really call out the shit. But go to the Homegrown store, homegrownnewyork.com. You can get the Homegrown vinyl there. But spend some money with me, man. I got a whole bunch of vinyl flowing out there.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. Hey, this is Ice-T. Right now, you're locked into the Premium Peep Show. #1 show on earth. All right? Stop playing.
Internets, and we're back sitting here with the one and only Smoke DZA. Harlem's own. Homegrown's out now. Cinematic. Shouts to Johnny Shipes. Comb your fucking hair. Yeah, he wakes up, man. He's got the rooster fucking. Speaking of Johnny Shipes, you and him have this very great, like, relationship that is like so. It's like kind of like stepbrothers.
That's my brother, man. My mother calls him her son. His mother calls me her son. He's a piece of shit. So I wouldn't have it no other way but to be hustling with my brother. So.
Yeah, man. He's it's funny when you say something like he's like one of those guys that you say diamond in the rough.
He's a gold miner.
I could see this fuck with one of those lights on his head.
I can see it too. With a fucking harebrained scheme of how he could find it.
In a tunnel.
But he fucking finds it, man.
I like doing stuff like this for certain people. You have a great relationship, you and him. I'm sure you tell him, but sometimes you don't get to hear. Like when you first think of Johnny Shipes, like throughout the years of you doing things, like what would you say about him?
Nah, I love that guy. I mean, it's the evolution of Johnny Shipes. To know him is to love him. He's fucking crazy. He's been crazy. He's been crazier. But in his older days, right now, he's a fucking polished, successful music executive that's actually done something in this shit and put bloodlines of people on. You know what I mean? He was the person that introduced me to the game in real time. If anybody could take that credit, it's him. You know what I mean? As far as teaching me while we both was learning, you know, because we both play different angles in this shit. Me being an artist and him being an executive, you know, it's peanut butter and jelly. But at the same time, we didn't have anybody that was teaching us how to be those people. We teaching ourselves.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
You know, with Smokers Club, explain for people who may not know what is Smokers Club, who's involved in it, and how did it even get started? And
Smokers Club is myself, Johnny Shipes Bubs. It was started on the roof on 23rd Street in Johnny's old apartment building. It was actually me, Steve-O, Johnny, and Shipes and a few other people that was around at the time when it first happened. We actually started it as a show in South by Southwest. And the show was so successful that we routed a tour.
Sure. The name alone sounds like great. Like when you think about it, like the Smokers Club.
Everybody in our crew tried to take credit of who made the name, but I made the name.
Yeah. Stop playing around, internet.
But whatever. But
you know,
I came up with the name, niggas.
You know, now will it or has it turned into a brand of, because I feel like I've seen stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, but will it turn into a product, or is it already a product that will be sold in dispensaries? Or because I feel like I've seen some stuff, but I don't know.
That was the Italian in you that just came out. Dispensaries.
Yeah. I know.
Dispensaries.
Pronounce all this fucking.
Yeah, we working on.
I seen. Didn't you do
we working on compliance, right? Yeah, we did that.
A shredder.
Yeah, no, we did a tray. We did a glow tray.
Shouts to Cookies. Shouts to Burner.
Cookies and Runts. We all got trays. But,
shouts to
shout out to LB.
Yep.
But yeah, we working on compliancy. We're actually working on opening 2 stores. Starting in Michigan and Michigan and Colorado.
Yeah, Detroit is full fledged right now.
Mm-hmm.
But think about that. Like, imagine, and whoever's listening or watching, the Smokers Club, how beautiful that sounds. Like if somebody said, like, yo, where you at? I'm at the Smokers Club.
Oh no, it's happening. It's really a thing that's definitely happening. Our company is definitely rising as far as, in the cannabis world. Our merch is doing really well.
Yep.
And once we really get through all the groundwork and getting the compliancy, it's going to be a beautiful thing once we could really have a pack that says Smokers Club and we can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's not black market. So,
when we go back to mom and dad and the influence they had on you, and then we sit back and we say, when did mom and dad believe that you were really real with this shit?
When I started making some money.
Okay. And it always happens, right?
Yeah,
because
other than that is fake. It's fake
because
news.
they don't believe it.
They didn't give a fuck. I feel like it was a combination. It was me making money, and it was them actually seeing something that I made the money off that other people could tell them about. So they started to believe in my passion and what I was doing and leaving me alone while doing it when I was writing for Sean. So having my name in the credits and actually getting checks from Sony that was coming to the crib, that's still coming to the crib right now, that my mom will call me like, you got a big envelope from Sony, and she knows it's a check.
You talk about Big Sean?
Sean Kingston.
Oh, Sean Kingston, that's right.
Yeah, Sean Kingston. So from there...
What songs did you have?
I wrote the intro. I wrote Kingston. I wrote Colors. I wrote... Take You There, I think.
I don't want to get off. Where were we before we were talking about?
Talking about my parents believing.
Okay, your parents, but actually, how different is that from being a writer for yourself versus being a writer for someone else? Is there no difference in your,
Big difference, because I was like, I don't want to say I was set up to. Yeah, eons ago. Shout out to Sean. And when I say, you know, I wrote for him, it's not in a disrespectful way,
Yeah,
because
no.
I don't never want it to, because people hear shit
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that and they
You
take it just
contributed
in a
to the
whole nother. I
album.
contributed to his excellence, because at the end of the day, he had to deliver that shit. He wrote his own hooks, and everything wasn't niggas writing for him. Like, he did his own penmanship too. But he was 16 at the time. I was a little older.
Yo,
so I gave him help.
There's another thing that I hate about hip hop. Lionel Richie,
Michael Jackson.
Lionel Richie wrote for Kenny Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Rogers wrote something for him. Nobody's over here abusing anybody. It's an honor. That's another thing, man.
But this is, like I said, it's like basketball, because at the end of the day, just because, you know, I may be popping in a league and I got a brother, my brother will get that seniority just because I'm popping and not because he's good. And that's how people look at hip hop. So me doing that shit with Sean is a whole nother genre. His shit wasn't just rap. It was rap and it was reggae. So that was like, that was, for me, it was a test.
And it was Bieber fans too.
And it was Bieber fans, because him and Bieber was cool at the time. And, you know, working with Sean is where I met Tory. I met Tory early in the game. Like, Tory was signed to Sean at one point in time in life, or was courted for Sean to be signed. I don't know what the contractual obligations or what, if it ever was.
Sure.
But that's how I met him, through that. So this is the type of music that Sean was kind of sprouting at the beginning. Like, and he's still a mega star at the end of the day. Maybe, you know, in the States it might have simmered down a little bit, but he's still getting money and his streaming numbers are still high. You know what I mean? So people are still tuned in, and clearly I'm still eating off it. So something.
You know, I found out something about Sean Kingston. I was with him, me and Steve LaBelle and him. Steve LaBelle brought him on tour. He used to manage him at one point in time. He actually calls Steve his father because he feels growing up like, you know, Steve really helped him. I didn't know he could spit. I was with him and
he could freestyle too.
Yeah. And he was, I was like, oh, okay, wow. Because my daughter, you know, she was at the time, like, she was like, loved him and Bieber, you know, she's a younger kid. So you look at an artist as one point in view, but there's a lot of people who do different things. Like, people see Smoke DZA. I mean, I didn't realize that he contributed here, helped produce here. You know, even like, fun fact too, MC Shan, I didn't know until later on that he produced Snow's record, Informer. So people look at MC Shan.
Informer?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Didn't know.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which is like 30 times platinum. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it was platinum already, and then they did a Spanish remix to it with Bad Bunny, I think, and somebody else, like Con. They remixed it, but it was the same style.
Same style. Right.
And that just threw it through the roof.
Nice.
So we talk about checks in the mail, you know, and you know, it's amazing when you contribute work to some of your art and you see how it, you know, and there's nothing wrong with stepping out, you know. Even like, I'll give an example. Even like, you know, his family, Melk D from Audio 2, did top billing. He used to tell me all the time that when he go to labels, they say he had a high-pitched voice. They said he sounded like a girl, that he wasn't good. Just from top billing alone, I think that sample is like 292 cleared samples. And some of them are tremendous. Mary J, Real Love, 50, I Get Money. You know, I got 5 on it. Even to the sense of where I learned about music with Otis, where it says, Ye is chilling, J is chilling. What more can I say? We're killing them. Even that,
the cadence,
they get a piece of. It's important for artists to know that, to learn that, because you're more than just a person who could spit. That's where you think about it. And that's where I give you a lot of credit to keep these relationships going, to collaborate and show your art with other people, the Smokers Club, you know, all these things. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, a kid from Harlem, did you foresee like this to be like your life one day? I mean, I'm sure you had an inkling, but
I want to answer that honestly and not really. Yeah, I always seen that shit being that. I feel like it was hard getting other people to see the vision, but I always knew, you know. It was times where, of course, you know, it was hard and you know, you feel like you want to quit, but I'm not a quitter. And I always knew that eventually, you know, I was gonna surpass people that was running faster than me, right? Because I came into the shit with a lot of people, and a lot of them not here, and it's not even you know, people that's like passing on. It's just people that just didn't age well with this shit.
Just, you know, there's
Right.
expiration, not expiration, but there's people.
But
come,
it's endurance. This shit is a marathon.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people play it as a sprint where, you know, you get all your best. It's like a fight. Like, you got to keep your endurance. Like, if you're giving your whole everything in the first minute, which is a long time in a fight, you know, somebody's going to get the best of you. You don't always have to just come out and just,
Sure.
you know, my whole shit was slow and steady win the race.
Marathon.
You know what I mean?
It's
It was
not a
marathon.
sprint, you know?
Yeah.
As we wind this down, you know, we went over the wrestling, we went over growing up. You know, one thing we didn't really go over is Harlem. And as a Brooklyn kid, you know, I know what I grew up with. And Harlem dudes were always stay fresh, you know, very focused on their outfit. So Brooklyn dudes, so New York dudes, but Harlem. Explain to people Harlem who may be watching. You never know, somebody watching from Italy or Australia. What was Harlem for you growing up in your words? Because everything's changed now.
Everything's changed because of gentrification. But I feel like, you know, a lot of the people that I would be talking to, like from overseas, they get it because when they come to New York, they come uptown.
Sure.
But
it's a destination.
It's a destination for tourists. I feel like growing up for me, Harlem gave me style, my sense of fashion, like the way I put shit together, even to the alcohol that I drink.
What is that?
Champagne. Or, you know what I mean?
Is it because you're thirsty, or you drink champagne?
I don't. Nah. I drink champagne to drink champagne.
You know, I remember I used to drink champagne like it was just regular shit, and I used to like wake up the next day with a dry mouth, and I was like, "Oh shit, we drank too much champagne."
But nah, just the whole
remember
hustle.
Popping bottle days?
You know, I remember it, but I wasn't a part of it, so I can't even sit here in front like I was a bottle popper.
I was around in a lot of different clubs at that time. I wasn't always. A couple of times I contributed, but. I remember dudes used to buy out the bar.
I never contributed.
I
never even cared about the club. I still don't care about the club.
I don't anymore.
Guilty confession.
Back in the day,
yeah,
I don't give a
fuck about the club.
But I remember dudes used to buy out every champagne. Like, yo, how many bottles you have in here? How many cases? And then all of a sudden you'll see a section, and then you sitting there with you fucking drinking, you know, and you can't have any. You know what I mean? You know, I remember also like. It was almost like it's a waste of money. Like actually, I remember talking to Nicky Diamonds, and shouts to Nicky Diamonds.
Yeah, shout out to
this
Nick.
dude used to go. I swear to God, man, real talk. And this is public knowledge. He used to buy so many champagne bottles. You know the ones with that glow. I don't know, maybe 20, 30, 40,000 a night.
Yeah, like, I had a friend that used to do that, buy 30 bottles, and like when we leaving, if it was bottles left over, he'll pour the bottles out so nobody else could have it. Petty shit. Yeah, it was a terrible time.
You know, when you speak about Harlem, you think about who do you think of? We think of Dapper Dan.
Dapper Dan for sure.
We think of Dame Dash
for sure.
Like who else do we think of? Like
Cameron.
Cameron. Is there anybody else we're missing?
When we think of Harlem?
Yeah.
Diplomats, period. I guess you think of Mace. Depends wherever you come from. And Big L, because I feel like Big L is such a cultural legend as far as rap style instruction and shit. Like if you rap and you care about punchlines and setting up your punchlines a certain kind of way, I feel like Big L is the gold standard for that.
In such a short time too.
In a short time.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about all these artists and how many people we lost, you think about Prodigy's gone, Sean Price is gone, Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle. We could just keep on going on. Big L, long time already. But when you see for you, these are peers. Does that make you think like, yo, I gotta make sure I'm good, or check yourself? Like, cause I give you even an example. When Combat passed, it made me, and no homo, because especially when we're sitting here with a Harlem dude, I say pause. And we ran the pause game for years on the Combat Jack show. But I went and got like my shit checked, like, cause he had colon cancer, and it just made me realize like, yo, let me be ahead of the game. When you start losing people at such a, it's
and that was your guy, the same way how Shipes is my guy. I would like walk in on y'all two arguing.
Yeah.
That was your guy. So, I already know that shit was traumatic, just being a part of it. So it's like, for me to answer your question, with the guys that we lost in this shit, it's kind of surreal, to think that we actually cool. And the fact that, people like immortalize them now, right?
Yeah.
And they not really here. They're not really here in the physical to accept the flowers that they should have got when they was alive. Yeah, a lot of them was already immortalized while they was living, but I feel like after they passed on, the actual genuineness of the flowers started to come. And being so close to that, like I said, just giving a casual story like how I would normally do with anybody about my upbringings and my time with some of these people that you name, with most of them. And I say it so casually, and somebody be like, but wait, you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, that was my man. And so it's like, it's surreal that they're not here in the physical, but I feel like every time I talk about them, I feel like even when I'm not, I feel like their presence is always looming. Especially, in this music shit. Like Sean was my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that shit is still kind of confusing to me. You know what I mean? So
he was such a real dude. I actually told this story before, but I'll tell a quick story. He hit me. I mean, we were real cool. And if you call the crib, you were cool. Bernadette,
shout out to Bernadette.
Shout out to Little Sean too.
Yeah,
shout out to the whole Ducktown family. He wanted to get felines, but he wanted to get like Grand Hills and all this shit. So I was like, say no more. I got a guy over there. So I hit them up. I'm like, yo, Sean Price. Hey, give me his address. No problem. But what he didn't understand about seeding is that they don't always send the hot shit.
Yeah, they send you the whack shit.
So he called me. He's like, yo, Pete, man, your man sent me the shit, but it's whack. I'm like, all right. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I mailed it back to him. And I was like, nah, Sean, why don't you just give it to one of your kids?
Right.
Like, don't mail it back. He's like, nah, fuck that, man. I mailed that back to him. I was like, that's what type of dude Sean Price
Sean was. Yeah,
he reminds me. And this is what I mean about, it's a little bit different. Harlem dudes, Brooklyn dudes, similar, but meaning like, even as an older cat, like I put him and Bun B together. Shouts to Static Selector. Static Selector actually wound up putting a song together. He actually made a song and he sampled Bun. And I remember him telling me, yo, I did this song. He didn't put it out yet. I don't even know where it is. But he was like, yo, I fuck with Bun B, like no homo shit, but like, he had to explain to me, like, yo, I'm not trying to like be on his shit, but I fuck with the dude. And I knew Sean how he meant like that. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't understand. Bun is the most humblest dude in the world. Bun, so when I told Bun that Sean Price was a fan of his, he was like, yo, I'm a fan of his. So I connected them. And again, they were eventually supposed to get up, but I think Static put the verses of I forgot what I think it was called, like Top something, but it's Styles P.
The P was Styles, him, and Prodigy.
No, it's a different one. It's
I think Harry did that one.
Yeah. But when I put them together, they're both very similar people. People who and I feel like I could put you in that category. People that could be rolling in the hood and like it's nothing. Get love, and then people could go to a college thing and be given some of these dudes high fives and shit, like like, dude, I love you, Smoke DZA.
That's a fact.
And then dudes are like, yo, Smoke, what up? To be able to, just be a chameleon.
I've been that way my whole life because, like I said, my early days of just school and just living. I went to private school and I lived in the hood. So it's like, I go to private schools, all different walks of lives from people there. And then you go back to the hood and you already know what you're going back to.
Sure.
So I was the guy coming home from school in a uniform with my friends in regular clothes that was going to public school and shit, and I'll be getting teased type shit. So and that's just some Harlem shit with your skin just gotta be thick enough to handle it, pause.
But, good pause.
But but that was just the makeup with how shit was. So to be able to blend in crowds, I've been doing that shit before I was rapping, so that shit is like second nature to me.
A true chameleon. You think about it, we spoke about Shipes, but we also didn't touch on, and we'll get to him now, Dame Dash. Now, he's been in your life for a long time. At what's it called? Didn't you?
The Dojo.
Yeah, the Dojo, right? It was at DD.
DD 172.
Yep. So many people, man.
Yeah. I'm a baby from there. Like Shipes is somebody that I learned and showed me, and we learned together. And Dame is another mentor that showed me the other side of the game. And that, like I don't me and Dame don't get money together. Like I fuck with Dame because that's my brother. He fuck with me because I'm his brother. Like it's not a personal gain. It's really like he's the godfather. He's the reason why I'm good with Killer and Jim. Like I got the introduction from Dame through that. You know what I mean? Like I'm probably the only person in Harlem that could pull certain strings with those guys to get certain things done.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and that's from being born and raised in Harlem where those guys could fact check me and background check me,
your environment.
Right? And then having Dame usher me in made it even more A1. So
that's another thing in hip hop as we continue to talk about that. I feel like he has dropped so many jewels, and a lot of people appreciate that and won't let people talk bad about him.
A lot of the Kanye shit, to bring it back to that's Dame.
Yeah. Still,
like, make no mistake about it. Dame is still next to Ye, probably right now, right this second. And when it comes to that type of positivity and that type of, when it comes to independent talk,
breaking down
doors
like
that's definitely influence from Dame. Not to say that he's making him do anything what, but it's definitely influence coming from him because he preached that to all. Dame is Professor X. And we all X-Men. And he preached that to all of us. So the same shit he telling Ye, he done told me. He done told plenty other artists that was next to him. So that's how I look at it.
Dame is, it's the gems that, see, here's the thing. You got to get past the delivery for some people. He's very strong-minded.
He's very abrasive at times. Yeah.
But if you listen to the underlinings, a tremendously smart dude, tremendously strategic. And I want, not that I'm over here saying this, but I am. I want people to stop putting this whole Jay-Z thing versus what he is. And what I mean by that is like they'll try to say like, they try to use, I feel like I see that a lot where people try to use that where it's like it didn't work out or whatever. And like it is what it is, but you can never erase with a history of what they did together.
And not only that, but he's made tons of history after that.
Sure.
Like, even he would be annoyed if somebody asked him just about those times because it was more times that he lived and created history through. I don't feel like he's bitter or anything or shit like that. He lives a great life. You know what I mean? So,
shouts to Dame Dash, man.
Shout out to my brother Dusko.
Continue to listen to the gems that he drops because I feel like they get.
He'll call me and shit on me, right? Shit on my whole shit, big me up, be proud, shit on me some more. Right, be like, yo, you uptown? Yo, get the fuck from uptown. Why you still uptown? You want to live around rivers? You want to live around water? He always got some funny shit to say. Yeah. But the underline of it is not really to shit on you. It's really to motivate you. You know what I mean? Like for me, like, I'm not complacent, but I like what I like and I want what I want. And some of my mentors' wants for me might not be what I want for me right now, right? So he'll tell me, put some pressure on yourself, shit like that. And I'll be like, for what? Like, I already got enough pressure. But that's him just pushing me to be great. He wants everybody that comes out of his kennel to be greater than him, to be richer than him, to be able to kick back. You know what I mean? So, and he's from Harlem, so I get the approach.
Sure.
It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
I understand it, right? So, yeah, his approach could be a bit abrasive, but you always got to look at the underline. Yeah, there's some bullshit in between it sometimes, but you got to look at the underline. You know what I mean? And the underline is always positive, and it's always for you to be better. Because who else you gonna listen to? You always want to listen to somebody that made it, right? And when you say made it, like, it's so cliche. So I could just break it down with this terminology. I would always like to listen to a GPS that's actually gonna take me where I need to go. I don't want to listen to nobody that never been nowhere. How you gonna tell me how to get there and your shit don't work? You ain't never been there. So at least if it's gonna come abrasive and whatever's gonna come from somebody that's been on the mountaintop, you got to take that into accountability and be like, well, you know what? It is some validity. It is some validity to what he's saying with this, and let me own in on this and master this, and then you go from there.
Did you ever read a dictionary to find out or studied like difficult words growing up, or like, because I feel like a lot of your, and I say this for certain people, but they'll use words I never heard of. and maybe that's my problem, that I didn't learn some of these. But I feel like a good artist, his vocabulary, the way he puts words together is like art. And there's a bunch of tracks that I've heard some, references where I'm like, did you just get all these words just growing up, or did you try to study different words? Or
I'm gonna cut you in. So for one, my grandparents and parents should be very proud of me for where I got to, from where people probably thought I would be, because I didn't finish high school. I wasn't moving in a straight arrow. It was a lot of uncertainty with what I was going to do in my life, because from having, this great background and being in private school and Catholic school and all these different schools and shit, I didn't like school in real time. But I like to learn the way I like to learn. So a lot of my knowledge was self-taught, like reading books that I was interested in, watching wrestling, right? So people at the early used to shit on me for wrestling. Now everybody loves wrestling, right? But they used to shit on me. But a lot of my vocabulary came from listening to Vince McMahon, the Gorilla Monsoon, and Bobby the Brain Heenan, and them saying certain words that I didn't understand, but they made me understand the word by the context they was using the word in, right? And then, as I started to get into rap, I used to read the dictionary, to learn words like perplexed and shit that I never really thought about, So it was like, when you learn the word and you use the word in a rap, subconsciously you're learning the meaning. Because for me, any word I use, I gotta understand the word that I'm using, because I don't want to look dumb when somebody is trying to ask me to decipher what I'm saying, right? So a lot of my shit was just self-taught and just listening and having conversations with really smart people that's smarter than me. Right,
that influence you too.
Because most of my friends are smarter than me.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned. You don't want to be around people that's dumber than you, right? So most of my friends are smarter than me. So a lot of shit that I learned, as far as even vocabulary wise, I've learned from people that were smarter than me, that might have used those words against me, or used those words in conversation that I had no idea what they was talking about, and I had to look up that word. So
it's funny you say that too, because it's like I used to be with dudes that used to say big word. I'd be like, "Oh, what do you use this $2 word?" I used to use that line, but then I was like, "Fuck!" When I felt I used it too much, I was like, "Motherfucker, you need to Google and get better in some of these words," because it's like. But I found that very creative with artists. But anyway, listen, Homegrown is out now. Okay.
Right now.
Make sure you go buy it, stream it, tell a friend to tell a friend. Smokers Club. What else is I don't want to put too much down people pause, but What else is down the pipeline? Isn't there another Pete Rock?
Yeah, we're working on it.
And also, is there something that you've been wanting to work on? Like, obviously, you've done a lot.
P. Now, for one, before we wrap up, I love sitting here talking to you. I don't even want to leave because it's such a great conversation. Now, these fucking projects that I have in the tuck, if people like what I got right now, what I got coming next, I don't think they're going to be able to control themselves. Because I got one passion project with me and a couple of my homies that I know is going to break the internet. And then I got passion projects with producers that I really admire outside of Pete Rock that I know is going to put me in that conversation. And then I got
Alchemist?
I don't want to say. And then I got Nemlo and 183rd.
That kid is nasty.
Yeah. He's right there. It's the kid right there. It's a piece of shit. But
I'm not calling you a piece of shit.
I'm calling him a piece of shit, but his
only
shit is coming next.
Only because you got sunglasses inside, and I don't know where you're from.
High Horse 2, produced by 183rd. That's coming. So you know,
Sabino put me on to. You.
Yep. So I'm really, focusing on the brand RFC, pushing that outside of the projects I got, and then I'm trying to be one of your peers in the media game. Trying to graduate and gradually.
Sure.
I'm not trying to get in nobody's. Everybody got their own spiel. I know everybody's doing their own thing. It's territorial rap.
I'm like
I get
you.
it.
I'm like you. And what I mean by that is I do what I love, but I've been able to do a lot of other things because of what I love. So I don't ever look at it as like, Bun told me the story one time about 3 Stacks and how he told him like if he didn't have to rap, he didn't want to rap.
I feel him.
And that's when you can rap your ass off. And I still feel, and I say this to every artist, keep the water running, but make other shit happen because of that. Because at the end of the day, the music is left and the legacy will live on.
That's a fact. I remember, brief story. I remember when I cared about the freshman cover, right? That was like one of the things that every year I would be working mega hard to make this cover. I remember around this time, Rob Markman.
Shout out to Rob Markman.
Shout out to Rob. Was the editor in XXL. He's also my friend.
Good dude too.
And he would give me insight, right? So I asked him, I said, what's missing? Like, what do I got to do? He's like, you got to do something other than rapping. And that always stuck to me. Because it was just like, I didn't take it disrespectful, but I'm like, damn, am I a one-trick pony? Is this all I'm going to do? Like, if me getting this cover is just equated to me not just rapping, and I got to have other links to my Cuban, so to speak.
Sure.
In order to really shine in this shit, I'm like, damn, what the fuck else am I going to do? This is fucking 12 years ago. This is before, the internet really changed everybody's lives. And, we started touring off mixtapes and shit like that. Before it was a smokers club, I had no fucking idea what those other things would be. Because I only saw myself being Smoke DZA this one way.
I say this. This is the same, and I'm sure you'll agree, and anyone who understands this will understand. I say this to street dudes, too, even since I've been a young kid. A lot of people, I remember rap, hip-hop, when I grew up by Coney Island, Marlboro, and I remember people were doing it. They're like, yo, if this rap shit pays off, I can get out of this shit. Even the hustle. I used to tell dudes like, I'm not mentioning that, but I used to tell dudes like, yo, how long you think you're going to hustle for? Take some of that money, buy a boar's head route. And I used to try to tell them. So the point I'm making is for an artist to come in and make money because of rapping, like it's bigger than putting out projects. It's a smokers club. It's the product.
Rap is the base.
Yeah.
It's the platform.
Yep. And I want to see every artist do that. That's why it's so I even like and so many people do this, but I want to give example, even something I saw by Action Bronson that I liked. I was in Philly. I went to his White Bronco or whatever, you know? He had a merch booth there. But what I liked is every time before the show started, like he had other acts coming out. And he would be at the merch booth.
That's how you sell the merch.
But I'm saying
that's a code that a lot of rappers don't know. When I hang out at the merch booth, that's when I sell my most merch. People want to take the picture. They want to get their shit signed. They just want to come talk to you. I might not even care to even, not to say I don't care to perform because I love performing, but I go sit at the merch booth and hang out because I probably make just as much money as I'm about to get paid on the merch.
But that's what I'm saying. I want to give you a last example. I sat down with Uncle Luke, 2 Live Crew. And he told me when he did 2 Live Crew, these motherfuckers were arguing over performing. They were only probably getting $2,000-$3,000 a show. There was mad people. He's like, yo, y'all keep that money. I'm going to make t-shirts. He used to sell 2,000 t-shirts a show. And he had the bigger mind. It's not only about merch, it's also about product and making something that you don't, if Smoke DZA breaks his leg, I mean, he could do something in the studio, but maybe he ain't going on tour. So the point I'm trying to make is making a product that people could support, right? No matter who you are, you know, people who support you want to buy these things.
You got to buy shit that can make you money when you sleep.
And I said, yeah, exactly. There we go. So when you, that's exactly where I was going with it. So when you're sleeping, you hear that ding, ding, ding. Those are orders coming in. And even though it's a small game, it's almost like credit. You know how many dudes I know that don't have good credit, but they don't, but, and I was that same dude, but they feel like it takes too long. But if you don't start today, it's always going to be too long.
No credit is bad credit.
Exactly. And you know, man, we could sit here for days, but I just want to tell people, Smoke DZA, long time cultural guy, long time sneaker fiend, long time lyricist, like I said in the beginning, and a long time good fella. Knows the good places to eat, knows the good people in life, and really has made I've been proud and I'm thankful that we finally sat down. I've been proud to watch the journey, and it's still young, man. And you know, I'm proud to see you morph into other things. You know, if you know, if fans or people who only want to see you one way, that's not fair. You know, shit, I would love to see you be a wrestler, like a guest.
Yo, don't say that in front of Shipes. It loses his mind.
I would love to see you be a guest. Tell Coffee, tell these dudes to bring you out as a, you know.
I'll be a manager. I ain't taking no bumps though.
Come off the top rope. But listen, live once again. Shouts to Growing Up Italian. Shouts to Panini Shop. If you're ever in Williamsburg, make sure you come to Panini Shop and get my sandwich, the RFC. Yep, really fire chopped cheese. Yeah, we live from Williamsburg, live from the Panini Shop. Smoke DZA, Homegrown out now. Shouts to Johnny Shipes. And listen, man, it's been a pleasure, man. I mean, you know, when we get that new project, we do the return of Smoke DZA. Yes. You know, but love is Pete, love. My brother. Harlem's own, baby. You know, Homegrown is out now. Go check that. CHEA.